Really?
It's coming. It's
The
coming.
pressure.
Oh yeah, no, like yeah, this is like it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Because I mean, I think when we speak of dietitians from other countries, especially the first world countries, we are inspired and want to be like you guys. So they want to learn. They want to learn.
And I feel like it's vice versa. Like we want to learn so much from you all because we don't know so much.
Oh yeah. All right, we are now live on Facebook. Hi, Jasmine.
Hello.
So I'm just gonna greet everyone on Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us. And as you keep on coming, just read the title of the conversation today. But I'm having an international dietitian with me from the Eat Well Exchange Incorporated. And I'm like, I can't stop smiling because I'm so excited that I finally get to sit down with her. And I guess this is a silver lining for me to the pandemic that I'm able to, be more involved in virtual connections and form more valuable bonds. And yeah, so welcome to South Africa, Jasmine.
Hello. I'm excited to be here.
And I was telling you earlier that we'll typically call you Yasmin around here, not Jasmine.
And if you say it, if it slips out, I'm going to accept it because I love that.
Thank you. I think the first thing, let's just I'm going to read your bio, just bring everybody up to speed on who you are. So Jasmine is a registered dietitian, a licensed nutritionist at a diabetes outpatient center. She has been featured as a guest speaker on WWTK 730 AM. I don't know, is it 7:30 or 7:30 AM?
7:30 AM. Yeah.
Oh, radio station, broadcasting and many other media platforms and podcasts, while appearing in several newspaper articles. Her interest in nutrition blossomed from health problems dominating her family's life, but could have been corrected through preventative diet measures. She earned her Bachelor's of Science degree in Nutrition Dietetics from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga?
Chattanooga.
Chattanooga.
It's a weird word, don't worry.
I know. And she completed a dietetic internship at Lenore Rhine University and a master's degree in nutrition education from Rosalind Franklin University. Jasmine is a program director and a co-founder of Eat Well Exchange Inc., a nonprofit organization that provides nutrition education and accessibility to healthy food for low socioeconomic populations, nationally and internationally, with a focus on culture. She also runs a virtual private practice, Wilkins and Westbrooks Nutrition Counseling, and the goal of providing even the busiest individual a chance to get healthy through nutrition. Jasmine also serves as a diversity liaison for the Academy's member interest group, which is, for the Academy's member interest group, NOBIDEN, National Organization of Blacks in Dietetics and Nutrition, and serves on the nominating committee of CFAND, which is the Central Florida Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Jasmine.
Hey y'all.
So, can I call you Jazz as well?
Yes, please do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a game that I play with my guests on the Urban Couch, which is this session that we are on, and it's 2 truths and 1 lie. So you tell me 3 statements, I mean anything really, and 2 of those could be truth, and then 1 is a lie, and I'll tell you which one is a lie. Right?
Okay,
hit it. Yeah, you can.
All right, so I am 5'10", and I have family in Georgia, and I just love ground beef.
Okay, I have to pick the one that is a lie.
Yes.
I think it's a lie that you are 5'10".
Really? That's the truth. I'm a tall chick.
You know what? I think I'm struggling to convert from inches or your measures to my measures.
No, I'm tall. I am 5'10". I'm 5'10".
Okay.
Yeah.
5'10". You see, so I always tell my guests that I always just mess up this one, so it's all right. It's all right. It shows me I'm awake. I'm fully awake. So, obviously today is more about your focusing on you as a dietitian, and we're gonna try and learn as much as you can from you and your involvement in a lot of things. I mean, I was reading your bio, and you are involved in a lot of things. And I remember the first time I met you, obviously, was through the Eat Well Exchange Inc. and on the social media platform, which I think at the time you were running the 12 days of Christmas type of picture.
Yes.
And yeah, so I was part of that, I think a year or two ago, and it was quite fun. And I started seeing that your platform does, feature either Black healthcare professionals or just Black businesses in that way. But when you look into us, me and you, right? We have a lot of similarities, in terms of our background and all that, which I assume those similarities potentially also exist in a sense of what health problems you have there where you are at. So maybe just give us a few, what type of health problems do people of our color experience in your communities there?
Yeah, so, Eat Well, we work primarily with low socioeconomic communities. And a lot of those communities, are people of color. So our Black and brown people. And, you have others that are mixed in between too, because, socioeconomic status is not like by race, but it is, you do have a higher percentage in certain races. But what we see a lot of times is that diabetes, heart disease is like number one, especially among women. You see a lot of, when I say heart disease, you have hypertension, you have cholesterol problems. We see obesity is a very big one. And one that I see a lot that actually leads to all these medical conditions is being malnourished, because I think in this country, people have this perception that malnourished means you look like that person who's like bones and skin. But you can be of heavier or bigger weight or have more weight on you and still be malnourished. And then you start to develop those medical conditions like I just named. And especially with the pandemic right now, the food insecurity rates are going up even more, even for some people that aren't low socioeconomic. So I would definitely say the heart disease, the diabetes, the obesity, of course, can't forget cancer because that's in there too. And then being malnourished is really what's contributing to that, because we're not getting the sufficient nutrients we need to keep our bodies going.
Wow, it's so surreal, because those are the health problems that our community is facing, which is the majority of the South Africans, and this same, like diabetes, heart and heart related diseases, your cholesterol and your blood pressures, and I like what you're saying, that a person will not think. I mean, you are from a first world country, and I'm sure being malnourished, they think it's something that only it's something that it happens in the second world or the third world countries like us. Right. But to hear that, because we know that malnutrition could be when the person is overweight or when they are underweight. It really goes two ways. Yeah. And I think also that is something that even South Africans can learn from, that we have this picture of a malnourished child who's thin, or a malnourished adult who's thin, and we think that the bigger you are in our society, it means it's a sign of wealth, actually.
Yeah.
And for
I've heard that
example,
before.
like if you are getting married or if you are a newlywed a couple of months down the line, the family will say, oh, we can see that you are happy in your new home because you've gained weight. Or say, for example, you are a person like myself. I'm not that big, but I've been married for a while, and people will say, oh, you need to eat. Is he taking care of you? Something like that. So it is really because we know that your health, your weight, or when we've got obesity, that increases the risk of the diseases that you were talking about, right?
Exactly. It does.
Yeah.
It does. And it's just interesting how we always look at the exterior and think that somebody's healthy. And it's like, no, not necessarily. Let's look at these labs and see, what your blood work is looking like. And just looking at a variety of other factors too. Because even though like in the communities that we serve, yes, you have all these medical conditions, there are other barriers that prevent you from eating great. And I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later too, but that contributes. And to me, that's a condition, because that means that you have like a society condition that needs to be fixed,
Yeah. So more of the work that you do at Eat Well is focusing on, culture sensitive type of approach into helping people reach their health goals. Let's talk about Eat Well. Where did the idea come about? I mean, it's quite a foreign concept that dietitians will come together and literally offer their professional skills, but for free to people. Tell me about that. Tell me about the organization of it.
Yeah, so it Exchange started with 3 founders, or we still have 3 founders. We have Ashley Carter, we have Deidre Washington, and then myself. And we all work at the same time at our local health department in Florida, in Tampa, Florida. And we saw that a lot of other nutrition educators like ourselves would tell their patients to eat foods that was not their norm. So I'll give you an example. You may have an African-American woman that walks in, she's part of WIC program, and she's getting supplemental food for her baby because she just had a baby or she's pregnant. And this is serving low income or low socioeconomic people. And they would walk into the office of someone who's not of African descent or Hispanic descent, anything, probably a white American. And they would tell them, oh yeah, you got to eat your quinoa or eat foods that they had never heard of. And then the patient would look at them like, what? Like, what are they talking about? And then when they would say, okay, I'll try it, but then they come back and to know that it's not done, they will be considered in a sense like non-compliant, like they didn't do it. And it's because they didn't get to know what that person's cultural preference of food was, and then maybe try to make alternates to that. So that's a big problem, because we know culture is like people's identity. Okay, like straight up, it's people's identity. You don't take that away from people because it's who they are. And food is culture. Food, we associate food with so many different things. So it was so important for us to create a program where we did not strip you from the foods that you may be used to or accustomed to eating, but kind of give you a spin on how you can make it healthier and not shame you for that. So that's how we kind of got started, because we saw a need. And like, we are the people to get that done. And it also helps to see someone of color in that field to tell you to do it, because there's not that many of us. So you almost kind of start to build a trust factor with the people that we serve. So that's in summary how everything got started. We saw the need, we wanted to help our people, we want to serve our people, and we're going to continue to do that.
Oh my goodness. Like, I had goosebumps at some point, because I can relate. I can honestly relate to a lot of things that you were saying. This past weekend, I was, I had a presentation that I was doing for a group of people, and I was telling them what motivated me to be a dietitian was that at some point when I was younger, my dad was ill, and she went to see a dietitian, or I took him to go to his dietitian appointment. Okay. And we got in this beautiful place, a beautiful office and stuff like that. And one of the foods that he was told to go get was quinoa and broccoli. And where we were at in the village, I have not seen broccoli or quinoa.
Right.
So I was sent from pillar to post to look for quinoa, which I eventually found in another city. I had to, which is about 2 hours out or 3 hours out of where we're from. And to later realize as an adult or a qualified dietitian that actually there are plenty of grains that we had at home at the time that match the nutritional profile of quinoa that we could have used. And that always pushed me into thinking, you know what, I really have to serve the people and really be that face of our own foods that we grew up eating. Okay, they are also nutritionally well. You know, it's not, we are not, you know, our society does not have the diseases we were saying because they are eating, you know, our local African foods, for example. It's not that. Perhaps it's not understanding how to pair them or choosing the, you know, to eat foods that are poor quality and higher quantities, but it's not really the fact that we are eating. I always tell, you know, I'm happy what you said, because I always even tell my followers or the people that I interact with on social media, like, it's okay to eat pap. It's okay to eat beans, the kidney beans. It's okay to eat SAM because those are the foods that we've got readily available. Now, when you look into us dietitians, Jazz, and why is it, you've now said, laid a foundation of why Eat Well was started. Why is it important, specifically for dietitians and nutritionists or registered dietitian nutritionists, to be culture sensitive? I want us to dig deeper into that. Why is it important, and how can they be culture sensitive to the environment that they work in?
Right, yeah, so why is it important? Again, going back to identity, this is who they are. You have to accept that. Everybody is not the same. Everybody is different. Even among your circle, everybody is slightly different. And you have to really deep within find and respect that first. You know, and you have to want to learn. Like even just talking with you, like you named a whole bunch of things that I may not or probably have not heard of or grew up on. But you have to have that mindset of willing to learn. Like the whole time when you were talking, I was like, oh, I want her to send me some of those foods to the States because I want to try them. But you have to learn, and you have to want to help that patient of where they are. And you can't make them change based on what you want them to do. And it's funny because they teach us that in school as a dietitian, but for some reason, no, not all of us, unfortunately, really grasp on to that idea of starting with people from where they are. And then that's how you gain the respect, the rapport, and the I guess compliance. I really don't like that word, non-compliance or compliance, but you help them get on a healthier step to being healthy based on food that they are accustomed to. Now, how do you do that? Listen first. I feel like some of us need to go back to school and think about active listening because you really do have to listen. And in listening, you may find or hear barriers that affect them picking foods that they may want to pick that are healthy, but are pretty much impossible. So going back to listening to what they're doing, also being willing to learn, and then just taking it one step at a time. You know, you want to make them feel comfortable. And I put out an article, and I think you mentioned it in our email about how to do that. So I encourage people to go and check it out. Hopefully you can add the link in there, but it gives like step-by-step instructions and things to consider when you're counseling people that may have a different culture than you. And you feel, in a sense, a weight lifted off as well, because you feel that acceptance of you to them. Does that make sense? Like when you say, oh, what foods do you typically eat? Oh, okay, this is in your culture. That's cool. And then you all start to kind of, we call it vibing. You kind of vibe and you get that, you have that connection because they see that you're open to understanding what they're eating and trying to make just small changes, but keeping that food in the household. So it develops a better relationship. And then also, to me, it just kind of lifts a load off of you instead of, like you said, broccoli. you know, which is a funny story because when we went to Haiti for our community garden, we learned a lot. And that's something with Eat Well. We never go into a country or a culture in general and say, hey, eat this food because it's healthy. We want to learn first about what you eat, because there may be things that we've never heard of that are not in the States that we're like, oh, okay, so tell me more about this. And then we do our research, and then we try to figure out ways to make it healthier if it's not already eaten healthy. Because first of all, it's very offensive. You don't come in disrespecting culture. You just don't do that. But when we are in Haiti, we played a game with the kids, and we had like berries, showing them like different types of berries that are popular in the States. And they had no idea what it was. And we were like, oh, okay. So we took that out. We're not going to introduce y'all the berries because that's not what's coming here. But it was a really like cool moment to experience that, because we didn't push it on them. We just said, okay, we're just going to throw it out of the game. Let's pick another fruit that you all are accustomed to, such as like soursop, or papaya or passion fruit. You know what I mean? So those are different ways to kind of adjust, and it's fine to adjust. So yeah, that would be my tips for that.
Oh my goodness. And I guess all of that's what you're saying. Yes, I'm gonna put a link to the Today's Dietitian article that you guys did. It was absolutely amazing, the tips that you shared there and what you're saying now. And earlier on, or in the other episodes, I had other dietitians from South Africa, and I was asking them, if you were looking back to because we have a year, so after you qualify, we have a year called community service year, where it's called the giving back year. So you have to work in a public space, be it a clinic or a hospital or whatever that is. And so you are paid, yes, but you have to work there before you can decide whether to go in private practice. So I was asking them, what sort of advice, I asked two of them, what sort of advice would you give a dietitian who is about to do their community service year, maybe next year, or currently doing their community service year this year or any other time? And they both said something about being kind to the environment and be open-minded to learn. And I guess what you're saying is really, emphasizing on that it goes beyond, obviously, that community service year, because I think somehow, as when we leave the community service year as dietitians in South Africa, we then leave behind this, this community type of I'm open to learn, I'm gonna vibe with the people kind of thing. And then when we go to private practice or we go to other hospitals, we want people to take what we are saying, but maybe one can say we don't have time. I don't know, why can't we have time to just listen? But what you're saying is emphasizing on that over and beyond community service, we continue as dietitians to be very much open-minded and learning, and not just coming and saying, it's it's healthy, and not understanding what people are already familiar with. But you know what, Jess, the other thing that I'm just, throwing this out there, to hear what you can say about it. The people now, let's put us as dietitians or nutritionists or us as professionals on the side. The people that we service, because I think of the culture that our society has portrayed of what is healthy and what is unhealthy foods, they find it difficult to accept information. I've seen this myself firsthand in practice. When I tell people that certain foods that are traditional foods are healthy or they are as good, they find it difficult and somehow think, oh no, I'm not gonna lose weight with this dietitian, I need to find another dietitian, and sort of like look down upon that type of communication that we'll be sharing. Is there something you can say about that? Because I always get so frustrated because I'm like, I know the science of nutrition. But I get those people, a lot of people, especially on social media, where push back and say, we've been told that is unhealthy and we're not going to touch it.
Right. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you, because I work at a diabetes center, and there's if I could count on fingers, I would be a billionaire, as far as money, because
girl, we want to be billionaires.
Girl, the many of times that people come into my office and say, oh yeah, carbs are bad. Oh my gosh, it's like overwhelming. And what you have to do is on their end, they have to be receptive to hearing you. You can preach to the choir, you know, until you're blue in the face, red in the face, whatever, but they have to first be receptive to listening to you. To me, that helps by first starting to assess them as soon as you see them, right? And then trying to build that rapport on meeting them so that they're open to, you know, kind of accepting what you're going to say. Because most of the time what you're going to say is completely different than what they may have heard of. Now, there's science out there that proves what we're saying is correct. So the way I approach it, especially, I'll give you an example like with carbs. We have people in my office that come and say, oh, I had this happen, I've had this happen, my blood sugars are this high, and I've eaten no carbs. I don't know why. And then I say, oh, because you need to eat carbs. That's why your blood sugars are high. And they give you that look like, what? For years, I've been told to not eat carbs. I grew up not eating carbs. And it's like, well, kind of in the sense where you have to try what hasn't been done to get those you want, right? You know, so that's one way. And then you start to kind of look at, this is why your blood sugars, explain why. Give a little bit of science, because sometimes I think as dietitians, we want to give them the whole Krebs cycle. And it's like, don't give them all the Krebs cycle. Just carve out a little piece and factor it into their day. You know, so factor it into their lifestyle. That's what I mean to say. So for example, somebody may get up that has diabetes, they may get up and not eat breakfast. And then they barely eat lunch. And then they eat a huge dinner, which is a very big problem in the States. That's how most people typically eat. So with that, I try to explain, oh, okay, so this is what's happening. In the morning, you don't eat anything. So then your liver is putting out glucose. So then your blood sugars are high. So then time goes by and you barely eat anything for lunch. And then lunch, you don't eat carbs. And so then your liver puts out more glucose, or you may hit a low blood sugar. So you kind of ease it in that way of what they're already doing to make them see that this is why it's not happening, and try to connect it with science a little bit. So that's a way that I would approach it. As far as people like giving nutrition information, I always say everybody's mom and daddy feel like they went to nutrition school and got a degree, right? Everybody's family member. Regarding that, you just have to tell them the science in a way, the same way that you would teach it to somebody else. Give them research if they keep arguing with you or debating with you, and show through the research. Here, read this article. Don't get upset about it, because at the end of the day, you know, those same people I say will be in your office looking for guidance later on. So you really do have to take it with a grain of salt and reach the people that you can reach that are willing to listen, because there are a lot of people that just won't listen, and that's okay. They're not ready. They're not ready.
I guess what you were saying, I also relate with when you're saying we want to share the whole Krebs cycle. Yeah. And I've had to like train myself and tame myself and be like, stop it now, you're sharing too much science.
Too much. Unless they ask you, and a lot of times they will ask you. They'll want more as they start to see that, oh wow, this person's really intelligent about how, you know, the process of food is digesting everything in the body. But yeah, don't share your whole RD experience as far as the advanced nutrition metabolism with them, because you're gonna lose them.
Okay, all right. I think you need to. I think it's something that you need to practice and try pull yourself back. And I also have found that, I'm just gonna add that in there, that when you are talking to somebody, watching their body language, you know, how are they? Are they still keen on it? And as soon as they like zone out, then you pull back and be like, okay, I'm going too far.
Exactly. Because you think that children's attention span is short. Adults I feel like are the same.
Like sometimes even worse, because they've got a lot of things happening in their brain.
Exactly.
Now, the Eat Well is very much present on social media, very present, and it's amazing. I've drawn a lot of inspiration from you ladies in terms of, you know, being out there. And if we are not there, I mean, who will take the nutrition space? Other people will, who are not really, who are not even trained in that. So with that being said, information that we are sharing as dietitians or nutritionists or dietitians, nutritionists, how can we make it that when we're sharing that information is not giving now definite advice, you know, it's more general? Because I find that sometimes there's that the lines are blurred. You're saying something and the next thing it sounds to the person that to the follower or whoever that is taking that information as if now you're saying, oh, you're saying I must go get low-fat milk. Oh, you're saying I must go get almond milk. How can we make it quite that it's not too much? I don't know if I'm making sense.
Okay, so that's a good question. I think you have to start based on what their needs are, like what do you see a need for? Like Eat Well saw a need, but then also watching what do they connect with most when you do different posting. And you can definitely find that in your insights from your audience. You know, there's a whole like, you know, algorithm for all that. But when you do say it, you may have people that comment on that post and like, oh, so this is better than this. Like some people may say, oh, so, you know, drinking a regular Coke is better than a Diet Coke because of the sweetener that's added, you know. And what I would do is like message them, or what we've done before is message them or comment and interact with them and say, these are the pros and cons of each. You know, you make that decision. You're not going to say this over that one. But some people do take it very literal, you know, kind of like I had a discussion with somebody else on the podcast. We were talking about like herbal supplements and all these like natural remedies. And at Eat Well, we love the natural remedies we do. But at the same time, we don't say have the natural remedy and don't eat anything for the whole day. So, you know, don't take it out of context. We're just highlighting a certain food. And there's a way to do that where you interact with them and let them know, or even like in the comments, this is a way how you phrase it. This is a way to add more so-and-so in your lifestyle, in your diet, along with other nutrients. You know what I'm saying? So there's a way to word it, but at the same time, some people may take it extreme. You know, you have those who take it extreme and those who don't take it at all. So you just have to interact with them to kind of get that feel of what they're thinking and kind of explain it to them. Like, this is just a component of what your diet should consist of. There are many other components to make up a healthy diet.
There is a much bigger picture. And would you encourage, you know, dietitians also in South Africa to be more involved and be more visible in social media? Yes.
And not only in social media, in just health, like having a seat at the table in any kind of health atmosphere you can. Because I think I went to FNCE last year and there was a presentation about like global health. And there were two dietitians talking about how they went to these different meetings for the community, different types of platforms where there may have been other professionals, not many dietitians, but it makes people think and say, oh, wow, there are dietitians. Because believe it or not, there are a lot of people that don't know that. They don't know what a dietitian is. They don't know the difference between a dietitian and somebody that just may, you know, self-proclaim nutritionist or nutrition expert. You know what I'm saying? So it's so important for us to be in not only the spaces that are nutrition based, but spaces that maybe doctors go to, maybe physical therapists go to, maybe social workers go to. I've connected with so many psychiatrists or psychologists because we know that there's a connection between food and mental status too. So yeah, I say put yourself at every table that you can sit at and make yourself known. Like, I'm a dietitian, I'm a nutrition expert, and people will start to respect you in those different spaces. And that's a way for us to kind of get out of that shell of not just an FNCE or not just going to an international food conference, but going to other aspects of health, specialty health conferences and platforms to say, we're here and we're to stay. So yeah, it's very important.
It is. So what you're saying, I also was thinking about, you know, when we don't go to where doctors are and where other allied professionals are at, we are more and more not known. I've been to conferences that are not nutrition related and maybe critical care or something like that. And they don't even know. They'll be saying, oh, you're a dietitian. Oh, where do do dietitians work? And this is healthcare professionals asking,
Yes.
where do dietitians work?
Yeah.
And then it's even worse for people who are not even on the health space to grasp it. I get it all the time. What does a dietitian do? And I'll be like, a dietitian is the only qualified nutrition expert to give therapeutic nutrition advice. And a person would roll their eyes and like, okay, and then where are you? Like, because we don't see you.
Right. So we have to be in those spaces. We have to branch out, because that's the only way that we're going to be more respected, and the only way that we're going to be able to reach people that need it, because they all have the connections to clients that we need to help.
And then now, as much as we are talking about dietitians not being known, dietitians in South Africa are struggling with being employed. It seems like the government sector or our public sector has somehow, it's not taking in dietitians. But when you look into the quality, like for example, I had a conversation with a dietitian qualified last year, and in their class there were 35 of them who qualified, and all of them this year, they are not employed, they are unemployed, and government is not opening any further posts. So it's been happening now for a couple of years. So while they are waiting to be employed in government, wherever they are going to be employed at, what sort of tips would you give that person? Because I always worry that when you sit and you don't really be involved in this, in what you need to be involved in, I don't know, maybe you don't get stale, but you do get outdated a bit, in a sense of just keeping up with the ever-changing science. So what are sort of tips that you can share with us?
Yeah. First, like a disclaimer, like me being in the States, it's a completely different process. Like right now, there's such a high need for dietitians in different areas.
I'm coming. We are coming.
Yes, there's, a lot to, pick from, especially during the pandemic right now. But what I love about the pandemic is that, and this sounds so crazy to say, what I love about the pandemic. But
it's a silver lining.
Yes, it's like the gift and the curse. So the gift of the pandemic is the fact that me and you, even like now, we're exploring the connection that we can have in a digital platform. So you can reach anybody. So I would say for them, always be current by getting into these webinars and courses, but also connecting with people. Those are ways to get you clients that's, international or whatever. So thinking in that aspect, I don't know how big technology is there. I would love to come there one day just to see how the way of life is, but work on blogs, create your website. This is a good time to even brand yourself, because, going through dietetics out here in the States, it was never really taught like, how to create a blog, how to have your own private practice, how to run a business. That was never taught to us. It was never part of our curriculum. It was always, these are your three options: food service, community, and clinical, and that's not for everybody. So I think it's a good time to really explore what your passion may be. And you may have to tell me and teach me this too. When you all go through your internship and your training, is it like clinical, community, and food service, or what is you all's layout typically like?
So it's the same. It's the clinical and nutrition and food service, and then there's a research type of a blog where you pick a topic. I can't remember my topic was, but I remember that I was heavily pregnant during my research. My research, you would laugh at that, Jasmine. Like literally, because I think the research was 12 weeks, right? In those 12 weeks, I obviously got very heavily pregnant, and I submitted my research on the 12th week, and I had 2 weeks to go on a break and then come back and do my clinical blog. So God was so graceful with me on that time, because I submitted on the 12th week on the Friday. I then, traveled back to because I had to travel to another city where I was going to give birth. I gave birth 2 days after I got to that city. And then about a week or two later, I was back in university, ready for clinical service.
Oh my gosh. Girl, you are superwoman. Oh my God. And I feel like we should say a disclaimer. Disclaimer. This is not what we're telling you to do.
No.
You have to...
Don't do it. Don't do it. No. But just always remember my research blog that it wasn't easy like that. Now I'm laughing about it, and I'll advise anyone at home, do not do it. It's a bad decision. Horrible. Yeah. So all have blogs like that. Yeah.
I mean, but to answer your question, I just feel like it's a good time to branch out into other ways you can connect with people and maybe find a love in nutrition that's not necessarily taught to us in our curriculum, but this is the perfect time maybe to do that and look at other, I guess, different ways, different roads of how to still show your expertise and help people in different ways. Yeah. So I would encourage, because like I said, like for me, like working directly in a hospital, inpatient, that in a sense can give me anxiety to a certain extent. And I know that I love to teach. So I'm so happy and appreciative that I'm in clinical, but it's outpatient and I get to teach classes. And that gives me more of, I guess, demonstrating my gift versus just going to a patient's room where I get 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the max with them, try to give them a whole diabetes education. So it's a good time to discover.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we use this time to discover, and I think honestly, you try different things, and I've been in private practice for a while now, and there are things I thought I knew about 2 years ago, but I actually realized, oh no, I didn't know that. But with investigating and writing, and I really like what you said, like write blogs and start to like shape what you want to do and the journey that you want to take. And I mean, writing proper blogs and writing pieces that are going to be published is not easy, because you need to find a good balance between researching it, but also making it quite, simplified science type of a thing. Right. So you start now and you practice, and I've seen that the more I read and write, the more my skills for writing improve. And now I write for corporates, I write for articles in a sense of magazines or newspaper. And now they can trust me to just say, Mbali, here's a topic, write something about it nutritionally and send it to us. And they don't even tweak it. They now publish it straight away, which I think is empowering, because you start to see, oh, okay, I'm improving. But also what you were saying is that you need to somehow, you love educating, so nutrition education in a sense. So other people might not be interested in that. So find what works for you. Maybe in your case, it's not nutrition education. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's consultations in a sense of health supplement industry. But you can't just sleep and hope the following day somebody's gonna give you a ring and say, come work here, come write something. No, it's hard work.
Yeah, time is not on your side. Like, start to do little things now to figure out where your gift can be used. We don't have to wait for people to get sick to educate them about nutrition. In a sense, sometimes that's what I feel like clinical is, if it's not preventative programs that they have in place. And, a person doesn't have to be on dialysis for you to have the first contact with them as a dietitian. That's just ridiculous to me. Like some people that are in dialysis or have complications with diabetes, it's their first time seeing a dietitian, and they've had this medical condition 10+ years. And it's like, why is that? We need to insert ourselves in these different spaces.
And I think sometimes also as dietitians, we fixate ourselves into the clinical part and forget that dietitians can be nutritionists as much as nutritionists can be dietitians, but we can be both, because we are trained to do both the preventative nutrition and the therapeutic nutrition. And I think, so in a sense, when we look into nutrition, I don't know if you'll agree with me that it's one of the important pillars of health. So when we're saying health is important, then we can't say as the experts in the nutrition, we are pulling back and hoping that we'll only catch people when they are now sick. So we need to be present.
Yes, be present.
Yeah.
And we're not saying clinical is horrible. You do need that experience. You do. You know, things happen where, like, you know, like this situation, a lot of clinical jobs may be available, and you need to still be able to be, you know, qualified to work in those areas, but it doesn't have to be your end all. It does not. Yeah.
You are a lady who wears a lot of hats, I must say, because you just, and I like that. I think I love that about you, because I believe that a person shouldn't do one thing and just say, I'm focused on eat well, but you are doing a lot of stuff, and that keeps you on your toes as well. And I think also to improve and be better at something, you have to have your foot in different type of waters in a way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And when you look into, I think that is something that, again, a lot of dietitians in my country can also pick on, because we are sort of like, sometimes we tend to be one-sided and just be like, if I'm working in the hospital, I'm working in the hospital. Or if I'm working in food service, I'm working in food service. But I've learned that you have to like have your foot everywhere. But then you hear comments like, you are everywhere. Everywhere I go, you are there. If I turn on the TV, you are there. If I listen to it, you are there. And I always have to justify myself and be like, I have to be there, because if I'm not there as a dietitian, who will? And I guess it goes back to what we've been speaking about, that we need to be present. Yes. Now, Jazz, when we look into the Eat Well, right?
Yes.
As a non-profit organization, we call them non-profit organizations here in South Africa, or non-government organizations, the NGOs. So, yeah. So you're not, it's not like the services that you provide under the Eat Well exchange, you are paid for them, right? It's based on donations and volunteering and stuff like that.
Right.
Can somebody who's a dietitian here, for example, in South Africa, be involved or volunteer their services to the Eat Well, and how?
Yes, you can. We need your help. We need you. We need you. So basically, Eat Well is funded. I'll just kind of give you the background, because we are 3 years now in the making. So we're still very new. We right now, that's one thing that we're working on, is to develop and get assistance with like writing grants, and applying for these, you know, grants, small grants, but also leading up to big grants, to be able to fund some of the ideas and things that we're trying to do in different communities. But we are run mostly by donations, people donating their money, seeing the difference made, the impact that we've made. By the way, we've been able to serve like over 1,500 people already. You know, we've traveled, oh my gosh, so many miles. I want to say like over 700 or so miles to different places to get certain things done based on our availability. Because believe it or not, me and Ashley, you know, we're the active directors and co-founders right now, or really just directors. We still have another founder. We're the ones that are doing a lot of the work, and we're learning that you can't do it all alone. We need our people to help us in volunteering, maybe having a program internationally, kind of like what we have in Haiti. We have a community garden in Haiti. So what we did was connect with an organization, that Carl's Village. By the way, look them up on Instagram, Carl's Village. Shameless plug for them. But they have these kids that they tutor, and that's the kids that we work with the kids in their family with the community garden. So, you know, partnering with us. If you have an organization, you can partner with us, reach out to us. Let's see how we can brainstorm and kind of work together to serve a greater purpose. So yes, we're accepting volunteers. If, you know, we can help you brainstorm, it could be you. And, you know, if you have a certain community that you're like, I would love to serve, but I would love to get Eat Well involved in some kind of way, we can, even if we're not able to directly go there at a hot second, especially because of the pandemic and everything. But there's a way that we can serve together, because I feel like, you can have a greater impact. But
Yeah.
if you do want to connect with us, maybe partner with us, to me, this is a partnership together, like us doing
Yeah.
this is a way to collab and get the word out there. But if you're interested, you could definitely go to eatwellexchange.org, and you would fill out a volunteer questionnaire, and we'll call you and get to know you and see how we can all work together. Or you can reach out to us on Instagram, and we're at Eat Well Exchange all together, one word, Eat Well Exchange, and DM us, and we're happy to partner with just about anybody. So yeah, it can't be a two-woman show. We have to include other people, because what's funny is during my internship, I was able to go through I think it was like an elective where you pick a place to complete your hours for like 2 weeks. And I picked a nonprofit that is pretty much doing the same thing that we're doing. They're in Orlando, Florida. And that lady her name is Miss Ronice Weaver. They have Ebony Consultants. They serve low socioeconomic communities, but they have like a little, a bus, like a food stop bus, where they have different fruits and vegetables, and they go to food deserts. Have you all heard of food deserts before?
No.
Okay. So a food desert is pretty much when you are a certain amount of miles from a grocery store or food that's healthy. So think of like if you're in a rural area, I'm in a rural area. If you're about 3 to 5 miles from a grocery store, you're food desert. And what they're showing is the research, the further you are from a food desert, the more likely and risk you have of developing medical conditions. So that's why we have a community garden here, because we want to go to the communities that are in the food deserts and provide them with healthy choices so that they decrease their risk of developing medical conditions that are, from lack of nutrient. So yeah, we're able to kind of interact. I brought up Ebony because they inspired me, and I'm hoping that when we get volunteers, we inspire them to not only be a part of our team, but maybe they can have a organization themselves, because we can't do it by ourselves. It's a collaborative effort. So please volunteer. We would love to have you all.
Oh my I think this is what you're saying is brilliant. That's because I think often we see that it took me a while to have my own nonprofit organization that is solving a certain nutrition or health issue or issues. And because you're always scared and you're thinking, I don't even know where to begin, and I need a board of directors. What do I need? And it's overwhelming. Right. But if you can be part of an already existing NPO, you start, learning and also, but, serving at the same time, because essentially it's about serving our people while you are learning and, gaining those skills of how to run an NPO. And I think Eat Well Exchange, I vouch for Eat Well Exchange. You have to join Eat Well Exchange. And let's, partner, let's all partner up and, assist. At the end of the day, we need to be able to reach one vision, which is healthier communities, especially looking into the fact that we don't want to lose our traditional foods and our, our culture.
Yes.
Yeah,
and don't get me wrong, it's one step at a time with the nonprofit, okay? Like it doesn't happen overnight where you're like, I got the website, I got the name, I got, sometimes just going out and serving is your start. You don't have to have the name, maybe. You don't have to have the developed ready website. We edit our website and platforms all the time because that's an ongoing process. But, it helps to have those things, yes, but don't feel like you have to have the website in place to go out and serve and actually do the work. Does that make sense? You don't, it does. It's not like a wrong, it has to be A, B, or C every time. No, it does not.
Z to C.
There you go.
And so long as you are putting yourself out there and starting the work and starting to really find your niche as well, but also helping people essentially. Yeah. Now, I want everyone, so it's 6 a.m. in your time, right?
Yes, early.
So, just let us in a sense of, is it windy? Is it raining? Is it sunny there? Like, paint a picture for us.
Yes, it is. Oh, let me tell you, yesterday it like thundered and lightning all night and not a drop of rain. So I don't know what's going on. But it's really hot. It's really hot. Like when it rains in Florida, it's when it's done raining, it's almost like the water like evaporates, like, and you get all this humidity. Hence my natural hair right now, it will be 2 times this amount if I go outside and it had just finished raining. So it's hot, it's humid. You feel like you're in a sauna. Yeah, it's like a rainforest out here right now.
Yeah, and you close by to the ocean or not really?
I am about 2.5 hours from the ocean. So I'm in the very middle of Florida. And in the middle of Florida, you have a lot of like your rural areas. They grow a lot of like orange groves here. And they have a lot of land for like, you know, gardens and farms. They have a lot of farms here. So compared to Ashley, the other executive, she's in Miami. So it's a completely different.
Opposite, yeah.
Yes, completely different, much more fast paced, a lot more people, you know, having land there is very hard compared to where I am here.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now I'm envisioning the whole thing. I've got this whole picture painted in my mind of how it is outside there. But because I think Florida, you just see in the movies and they show the palm trees and, you know, the high life. And I always wondered if all of it is like that. And just yesterday, we saw LeBron James walking around shirtless or open shirt, and they were saying it's hot in Florida. So I think it was on social media. And I was thinking, okay, so this is how Florida is. People are walking around with open shirts.
Yeah, it's hot. If people with their shirt off, it's you know, it's normal.
Oh, okay.
It's so hot. It's so hot.
Yeah. All right. So I think what we've learned from you today, just to sum it up, is that it's very important to be culture sensitive as dietitians, in a sense of, and I like what you're saying, that listening, you know, and listening is not as easy as just saying, it's really trying to comprehend what exactly.
Yes. Process it, sit with it.
And reflect on it. And I guess what we also do is to want to quickly say and then say our bit and say our bit, you know, to our clients. And we don't want to say and pause and just, you know, like, okay, I get you. But what also that I liked what you said is that it's very important to be present, to be visible out there. And I think that for dietitians, I would not stress any further that let's be out there, let's take up space, as our Miss Universe will say. Let's do that, because if we don't take the space, who will? You know, and also about collaborations, that's a silver lining of the pandemic. I would not have time to sit in front of the computer and connect with anybody, really. It's quick messaging on Instagram, but the fact that we can have such conversations and bring the world to us and us take us to the world, it's just to show that the pandemic came with that slow down kind of vibe, and, you know, let's just find better ways of managing our lives and managing our businesses as well. And I think what you also said was very important, that in varsity, they don't teach us how to run private practice. They don't teach us how to like have a website and those stuff. And funny that we both can share the same sentiments when it comes to that. And I think because we don't have that type of a background, as much as we can advocate that universities start introducing such classes to dietetic students, we now need to take initiative and join webinars and seminars, and as you were saying, and I think those things are brilliant. So with that being said, this has been such a wholesome conversation. I can go on with you for long and just go on.
I know.
But I'm also sensitive to the fact. I'll bring you back, and we do something else on another topic, because you've got such wealth of knowledge, and I really, really appreciate your time. I'm just sensitive to the fact that it's very early in the morning. It's about 7 a.m. now where you are at. And I really need to be sensitive to that so that we get to the groove of the day. But Jasmine, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So for everyone watching on Facebook, this is Jasmine. I don't know if you've got last words or anything take home that you can share with us. Yeah,
so, you know, be inspired, you know, go after what you feel like you need to be in, what space you need to be in regarding nutrition, if we have some dietitians or people who want to be dietitians here. If you're not a dietitian, if you're more of listening to just, how to adapt to a healthy lifestyle, first you have to know that you can do it. That's the first mindset. So knowing that you can do it is how to start. It's where you start to make your first step. But yeah, check us out on eatwellexchange.org. You can go to Instagram to check us out, Eat Well Exchange, one word. If you're looking more for like private practice, one-on-one counseling, I can assist you at wilkinsandwestbrooks.com, or you can follow us at ww_nutrition counseling. Oh, and by the way, you had to say like the three statements, the two truths and the lie. The lie was that I love ground beef. I do not like ground beef. Get out there, 'cause I'm like,
that's a lie.
That's a lie. I'm really 5'10". I'm almost 6 feet. I'm a very tall girl, and I'm proud of that.
No, you're beautiful. You're beautiful.
Oh, thank you. But yeah, I look forward to meeting everybody that contacts us. I'm always open to talking and discussing with you guys about different things, and I'm excited to be on this platform. You're doing such an amazing job with everything.
Thank you.
Yes, you are.
I
Keep it up.
I try. And I guess it's a matter of, the more you expose yourself, it's difficult. It's not always easy because you're starting something new, whatever that you're starting, yes. And you get a pushback and people are like, what are you doing? But you stick to your cause. And I think that has helped me push through and continue doing what I'm doing. And the more I do, I find that whatever that I'm doing, I get better. And I think that's motivating. And I think it just gives me purpose in life to be able to serve our people.
That's what I've learned too, though. Like, everybody's not going to understand. And that's okay. As long as they're not in your way, that's okay. You stay on the sideline.
Be on the side. Don't be on my way.
Be on the sideline and let me do what I'm called to do. 100%. End of day. So. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much. So what we'll do is, for everyone watching on Facebook, I'm going to upload this and save it on Facebook. And then I'll also upload it on my Instagram. So you're going to see quite a bit of it. But thank you so much for joining us. And me and Jess are out. Thank you.
Bye. Y'all have a good Wednesday.